and welcome again to my channel for a potentially controversial topic. I wanted to make this video because while planning my other videos, I found myself always trying to clarify Brompton, Brompnot, trifold, whatever you want to call it. It would just be easier to have a video to point to about my stance on this topic, and I guess the wider Brompton community stance on it, at least from what I've gathered in Facebook groups, Reddit, and real-life Brompton rides. Opinions vary, but I think the consensus is that the main frame needs to be from Brompton. Some purists might require the fork and triangle to also be Brompton, or that the wheels need to be 16-inch. For example, the 20-inch Kinetics modded Bromptons generally go by MT Brompton, and Erder Metal calls his the Erder Explorer. Maybe owners of these bikes want to chime in on the comments whether they consider them Bromptons or not. I personally agree that as long as the main frame is from Brompton, it can be called a Brompton, which is why I try to caveat my videos with Brompton in quotation marks. I guess it's a cheeky way to get my videos to show up in searches, but my justification is that a lot of the information is still relevant to Brompton owners who want to modify their bikes other than the main frame. If you disagree, please dislike and unsubscribe. But if you don't think this is the generally agreed upon definition of Brompton, then leave a comment below. So that's a long-winded way to say that yes, I agree that my build is not a Brompton. Although there is a Ship of Theseus argument that my specific build is still a Brompton. My old build was a second-hand SXL Brompton, which I upgraded heavily, including a new titanium stem. Based on the definition above, that was a Brompton. I replaced everything on that Brompton except for the titanium stem with my new parts on this current build. So can my new build be a Brompton? Not really a serious argument, but food for thought. Anyways, I think you can stop watching this video now if all you're looking for is a simple explanation of what makes a Brompton a Brompton. I do want to talk a bit more about the legality, ethics, and morality of buying this frame because these questions do come up often every time I've made a post about this build. On the legality of this bike frame, it's complicated because the laws in countries are different, but here are a few facts. I would just like to say that I do have legal training as a lawyer. Read, I know how to Google and have some knowledge about legal principles and proceedings, but I am by no means an IP law expert. So first of all, the Brompton patent on the functionality of the trifold design has expired. The patent seems to have been applied for in 1979 in Europe, which lasts for 20 years. Regardless of when exactly, the patent has clearly expired. Because of the expiration of the patent, in the past, Brompton has tried to protect its IP via copyright law. Copyright protection lasts for 70 years after the death of its author. Since Andrew Ritchie is still alive today, the Brompton design would still be under copyright protection. See the Brompton v. Chedek/Get2Get case, where Brompton won in the European Court of Justice. But that was just a ruling on a question of law. It simply means that in the EU, copyright can protect a product's shape, but if the shape is solely dictated by function, copyright cannot protect it. There's a lot of nuance that I'm glossing over, and I actually plan to make a video about it because I went into a deep dive into trying to figure out what the end result was. And there was actually very little information about the final result. If you do a Google search, you'll probably just come up with the European Court of Justice result. Regardless, the design of the Get2Get bike is quite different to the Brompton, whereas the frame I bought is almost a one-to-one replica except in titanium. 3. There are laws in EU countries about lookalikes, slavish or parasitic product laws. It seems like most case law on this has to do with imitation packaging and not outright counterfeit, which leads me to 4. Counterfeit laws. Generally speaking, a counterfeit is an item that uses someone else's trademark without their permission, i.e. passing off one product as another genuine one by using their trademark. Since I'm in the UK, which is no longer in the EU, this further complicates matters, but I will focus on the UK. So quickly, based on the above, this frame does not violate any patents because the original trifold design has expired. I think this frame does violate copyright law in the EU based on the ruling of the European Court of Justice, but enforcement will be largely down to the national laws of each member state. I have read up on the opinions of UK legal experts on what the implications are of the Get2Get case in the UK. The ruling isn't applicable and wouldn't be enforced, at least without some changes in UK copyright law. Also, the frame isn't counterfeit because the seller does not claim it to be a Brompton frame, and there are no decals or anything else to make people believe they are buying a Brompton product. For these reasons, I don't think the seller or me are breaking any UK laws. In the EU, maybe it's a bit of a gray area. But if others have more knowledge about IP law, or Brompton themselves disagree, please let me know. Also, if there is a legal basis for Brompton enforcing their copyright of the design of the bike, it's interesting that they allow brands like Pike, 360, Cranston, etc. to sell in China, where Brompton has a pretty established foothold. You might say, sure, but that's China, but these are also sold in Singapore. And these are exact replicas of Bromptons. It's not even like the Get2Get situation. I think some people are more offended by these third-party frames on an ethical/moral basis, which I can completely understand. Personally, I feel ethically and morally fine about my decision to buy this frame, and I can rationalize it in several ways. A titanium frame and a C-line profile isn't something Brompton offers, and Brompton does not sell the T-line parts separately to the public. So if I want to build something like this, I can't even get it from Brompton. To put it another way, if this frame didn't exist, I'd probably still have my previous Brompton, so me buying this frame did not lose Brompton a sale. I still supported Brompton because to get the 12-speed hub, I had to buy a Brompton new and take the hub off that bike. I ended up selling that bike on, but I did give Brompton money in the end. I still support the Brompton ecosystem of parts as well, which means Brompton and third-party sellers stay in business. 3. I bought it for personal use, and I'm not building this bike to sell to others. The frame is very niche because you need to build the bike up yourself, which not many people are willing to do anyways. At the end of the day, I built this Brompnot after falling in love with the platform from riding and modifying my previous Brompton. I'm now getting into video content creation, which is relevant for Brompton users, despite me not riding a real Brompton, so it is what it is. There's a lot more to talk about on this topic, and maybe I can make a follow-up video based on the comments, so please leave a comment down below and let me know what you think.